All right, everybody, Seth Feroce here again on another how-to. We're going to talk about rear delts. This is something that I see every day I'm at the gym when someone's training shoulders, they do incorrectly. And it's kind of, the rear delts are a tough muscle. They're incredibly small. I mean, literally they're that friggin' big. And we spend so much time on them. And some people are like, I never feel my rear delts whenever I'm training. I'm like, okay, so how are you training? They're like, how do you get your rear delts so big? So probably about 6-7 years ago, I finally started training them right whenever I got serious about training, because I used to not have them because I was making every common amateur mistake that so many of us make. So we'll go over a couple different angle variances and a couple different exercises. I usually only do bent overs or seated rear delt raises with dumbbells. It's usually all I do. So here we go. Whenever you see someone do rear delts on seated, many of us do, we sit here, I'm doing a huge range of motion. The range of motion that you need on your rear delts, like I said, your rear delts are so small that why in the world do I need a range of motion that is flapping like a bird? So I want to make sure that I have a shorter range of motion. Now with a shorter range of motion, you're going to end up using a little bit heavier weight. So whenever you use a lighter weight, we all have a tendency to have a longer range of motion. We want short range of motion. We want small bursts. So when I'm here, this is all the more I'm moving. I'm hitting my rear delt. Whenever I'm here, this light weight doesn't seem like it's doing too much. So this is such a small range of motion. But I can feel my rear delts firing a whole lot more than as if I was all the way up. Because whenever I go all the way up, now my side delts are going to start coming into play, my traps are going to start coming into play, and even my lats will start coming into play. And the bigger body parts are going to want to take over this exercise, hence leaving your rear delts not really getting hit that hard. So whenever I do these, whether they be seated or standing, I use a little bit of heavier weight. Usually when I'm seated, I hang around like the 40s, 45s, and whenever I'm standing, I'll hang around the 70s or the 80s. And it's all about positioning. And again, whenever you're doing these, if you watch the side delt video, hand placement and angles are huge. So if I place my hands dead center on here and do my rear delt raises, I'm going to hit them, but if I kick my hands all the way back in the dumbbell, turn my hands towards me so the palms face me, as you can see, it's hitting a different part of my rear delt, or from a different angle, I should say. So whenever you're doing these, again, pay attention to hand placement, pay attention to the angle of your body, even how you're positioned on the seat. If I stand straight up and do them, it's an incredibly short range of motion, okay? But I'm still hitting the rear delt and I'm hitting it from a different angle. And again, shoulders is all about hand placement and angles. It's a game of inches. On standing bent over rear delt raises with dumbbells, again, it's going to be based on hand placement, body angle, and a short range of motion on your rear delts. Rear delts are small muscle groups, so don't get obsessed with being able to flap away. So whenever we're doing it, me personally, you'll end up seeing me either all the way back or dead nut centers on the grip of the dumbbell. Whenever I bend over, slightly bend over, stick your ass out, have a good base. Make sure your feet are planted into the ground. Short range of motion. And while I'm doing them, I got it, change the position of my hands. I supinate my hands so that my hands face me, my palms face me. Short range of motion. All rear delt. If I pull all the way back, I just felt my lats fire. I don't want my lats firing during my rear delt workout. I want all rear delt all the time. Short range of motion. And there's nothing stopping you from, while you're doing shoulders, to go from this hand placement to this hand placement to this hand grip while you're doing it in the same set. There's nothing stopping you from it, because again, with shoulders, it's all a game of angles, blood flow. It's not like you're going to use a ridiculous amount of weight to work a muscle group that big to get it enormous. It wants blood and it wants nutrients. Blood flow, nutrient flow. So that's it for rear delts. Don't flap like a bird. Concentrate, short range of motion. Hit them hard, fill them up.